These are the most terrifying things people ever experience on a flight. Up first is a story by somebody named Nitin. And they said, on a red-eye flight, everyone was asleep, but I can't sleep on planes. A few rows behind me, a girl started screaming, "Mama, Mama." The flight attendants walked over, then ran back. Then ran over again holding a defibrillator. They then walked the hysterical girl, who looked to be a teenager, to the front of the plane. Then walked back with blankets. When the plane landed, no one was allowed to move. A stretcher came on board and wheeled the blanket-covered body out. The sobbing girl followed behind. I can't imagine losing a parent on a flight, with nowhere to go and no way to contact anyone else for help, surrounded by nosy strangers in tight quarters. This story is absolutely terrifying, but just wait for the next one. This next story is by someone by Low Beams, and they say, just after takeoff from Ixtapa, Mexico, we were climbing out over the ocean at about 1,000 feet when I looked out my window. Headed directly at me about 500 feet away was a twin-engine Beachcraft. I would guess it was 3 to 4 seconds from impact. Fortunately, the pilot of the aircraft saw us and pulled up sharply just in time, missing us by maybe 25 feet. My wife, who's deathly afraid of flying, asked me, "What was that?" I said nothing and pretended nothing had happened until we were on the ground in the US. Then I told her. Without question, if that pilot had pulled up even a second or two later, everyone on board both planes would have been dead. Could you imagine being on either one of these planes and witnessing this? It would have been one of the worst plane disasters in history. Finally is a story by Batakan, and they say, I was 16 and flying alone from Istanbul, Turkey to Seattle, USA, to visit my sister who had left Turkey early to go to school in the US. During the second leg of the flight from London to Seattle, I developed a urinary tract infection. It kept getting worse and worse. I spent the whole 10 hours flying having to pee urgently, going to the bathroom every 10 minutes, disrupting the poor passenger next to me, getting one drop out, and crying on the toilet. I started passing clots of blood out of my urethra, which was excruciating. I was so shy back then and scared, but I really wish I'd told the stewardess so at least I could have some emotional comfort and know what was going on. When I landed, as soon as I saw my sister, I burst into tears and said, "Take me to the ER." They said it was the worst UTI they had seen in a while. The meds started working so fast. Truly a horrible, horrible experience. We all know how uncomfortable flying could be, but can you imagine just having a UTI mid-flight? This has to be honestly one of the worst possible things that can happen to somebody flying, and it's something you would never think about happening while flying.